Hello. Thank you for participating in the Fiscal Year 2021 Department of Education's Fulbright-Hays Group Projects Abroad Short-Term Technical Assistance webinar. My name is Cory, Neal, and I am the GPA Program Manager. Please note that we will be conducting two separate workshops this year for GPA Short-Term Projects and GPA Long-Term Projects. This Technical Assistance workshop will focus on the short-term projects. Both webinars have been pre-recorded and can be accessed through the Department of Education's GPA website. The agenda for the Technical Assistance workshop is as follows. We will review the purpose of the GPA short-term program. We will review the competition highlights as referenced in the notice inviting applicants. We will discuss the eligibility requirements for both applicants and participants. We will review each of the short-term project types. We will discuss each of the project phases for the short-term projects. We will go over the allowable cost under the GPA short-term program. We will review the selection criteria and the process for selecting awardees. And lastly, we will provide some helpful tips for developing a competitive application. The GPA short-term program is designed to promote, improve, and develop modern foreign languages and area studies throughout the educational structure of the United States. The program gives K-12 teachers, faculty, undergraduate, and graduate students opportunities to conduct research and studies abroad in modern foreign languages and area and international studies. We define area studies as the study of the aspects of a society or societies, including the study of their geography, history, culture, economy, politics, international relations, or languages. For the FY 2021 GPA short-term grant competition, our estimated range of awards is between $50,000 and $100,000, with an average size of an award being approximately $80,000. We estimate the total number of awards this year to be 25, with 10 of those going to short-term projects. Please note that the department is not bound by any estimates in this notice. For fiscal year 2021, the absolute priority for the competition is that a group project focuses on one or more of the following geographic regions of the world: Africa, East Asia, South Asia, Southeast Asia, and the Pacific, the Western Hemisphere, including Central and South America, Mexico, and the Caribbean, Eastern and Central Europe and Eurasia, and the Near East. Please note that GPA short-term projects that focus on Western Europe will not be reviewed. These countries include Andorra, Austria, Belgium, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Iceland, Ireland, Italy, Liechtenstein, Luxembourg, Malta, Monaco, Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, San Marino, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom. Applications for GPA short-term projects from selected institutions and organizations can earn competitive preference priority points. Those institutions who are minority serving institutions, community colleges, new applicants, or state educational agencies are eligible for these 3 additional points. GPA short-term applications can earn 2 additional points if they propose projects that provide substantive training and thematic focus on any foreign modern languages except French, German, and Spanish. Proposals must provide a minimum requirement of 20 hours towards language training on a less commonly taught language throughout the duration of the project to be eligible to apply. Lastly, GPA short-term applications can also earn 2 additional priority points for focusing on projects that develop and improve foreign language studies, area studies, or both at elementary and secondary schools by including K-12 teachers or K-12 administrators as at least 50% of the project participants. Next, I will cover applicant and participant eligibility requirements. Eligible applicants for the FY 2021 cycles are institutions of higher education, state departments of education, private nonprofit educational organizations, and a consortia of institutions, departments, and organizations. An individual is eligible to participate in the GPA Short-Term Project if he or she is a citizen, national, or permanent resident of the United States, meaning that they have a green card, and an individual who is currently employed full-time in a United States school system, institution of higher education, local education agency, or state education agency. Also, individuals who are not currently employed and or studying full-time or its equivalent are not eligible. This program will allow a combination of teaching and studying at 100% total to be eligible. Continuing on with eligibility, participants must be a teacher in an elementary or secondary school or a faculty member who teaches modern foreign languages or area studies, an experienced education administrator responsible for planning, conducting, or supervising programs in modern foreign languages or area studies at the elementary, secondary, or post-secondary levels. Participants also could be graduate students or juniors or seniors in an institution of higher education. These students must be prospective teachers in the areas of social sciences, humanities, and foreign languages. Please note that graduate students or juniors or seniors do not have to be working full-time to be eligible to participate. The student should meet the provisions set by his or her local and state education agency. There are three types of GPA short-term projects. There are short-term seminars, there are curriculum development projects, and there are group research or study projects. Let's go ahead and break those down. The short-term seminar projects typically last 4 weeks and are designed to promote the integration of international studies into the social sciences and or humanities curriculum throughout U.S. school systems at all levels. Again, they are designed to increase linguistic and or cultural competency among U.S. students and educators, and they focus on a particular aspect of area study, such as the culture of an area or a portion of the culture of the country they intend to study. Curriculum development projects are also generally 4 weeks in length and allow for participants to acquire firsthand resource materials, including artifacts, books, documents, educational films, recordings, museum reproductions, and other instructional material for curriculum development in modern foreign language and area studies for use and dissemination in the United States. And our third short-term project is group research or study. These projects are typically 3 months in length and are designed to give participants the opportunity to undertake research or study in a country outside of the United States. Unlike the other 2 short-term projects, participants in a group study project must possess the requisite language proficiency and disciplinary competence in the area of research. The grantee should conduct a language assessment pretest to determine a participant's language proficiency. Okay, let's look at the numbers for each of these. For short-term seminars and curriculum development projects, the minimum time spent in the host country is 4 weeks. This does not include the pre-departure orientation in the United States, which we will touch on later. Your grant performance period for a seminar or curriculum development project is 18 months. If you choose to spend the minimum 4 weeks in country, you must include 12 participants and 1 project director for a total of 13 individuals. You can see that this total number decreases the longer a seminar or curriculum project is designed to last. The maximum grant award for both seminars and curriculum development is $100,000. This information can be found on pages 15 and 16 of the application handbook. Group research projects are designed to undertake research or study in a country outside of the U.S. The length of these projects is from a minimum of 12 weeks to as long as 12 months. The minimum number of participants is 3, including one project director for a total of 4 individuals. Again, participants must have a minimum of 1 semester intensive language instruction in the related area study. The maximum grant award for group study projects is also $100,000, and this information can be found on page 17 of the application package. We highly encourage each applicant to check the State Department's website for alerts and warnings, as GPA applicants proposing to travel to a country that is closed to Fulbrighters will be disqualified. The countries on this slide are countries that are closed to Fulbrighters. If you are unsure or have a question about any specific country, please feel free to email me at gpa@ed.gov. As a reminder, we have received several inquiries about Cuba and Egypt as possible destinations for GPA projects, and these countries are currently closed to Fulbrighters. Grantees will have 18 months to carry out their project activities. For fiscal year 2021, the proposed start and end dates for GPA short-term projects are June 15th, 2021 to December 15th, 2022. Of course, these dates are the proposed start and end dates. These dates can change depending on when awards are made, but these are the dates that you should use as your proposed dates in your application. Okay, let's discuss the GPA project phases. These phases include pre-departure, the overseas phase, and the post-overseas or the follow-up phase. For the pre-departure phase, grantees should allot at a minimum 16 hours for pre-departure orientation. Pre-departure preparation should consist of conducting a series of lectures on the country of study. Also, advanced reading material should be sent to the participants several weeks prior to the pre-departure orientation. For the pre-departure orientation, we also suggest that the applicant include guidelines on curriculum development if that is applicable to your project, discussions on daily living and traveling in the host country, team building exercise for your participants, team assignments and individual proposed projects, and of course, language training. This slide contains an example of a pre-departure orientation schedule. Please make sure your pre-departure orientation is detailed as demonstrated by this slide. You may include, and I highly recommend you include, a copy of your pre-departure orientation and the appendices of your application package. The next phase is your overseas phase. This is where you should provide detailed information for your in-country itinerary. These details should include a daily itinerary, details about any academic lectures, language study, field trips, cultural activities, debriefings and evaluations, and travel arrangements and accommodations. Remember, the more information you provide in your project narrative, the more likely you are to receive a respectable score. The next 2 slides provide a detailed in-country itinerary sample. You may include a copy of your day-to-day itinerary, again, I highly recommend you do, in your appendices. Okay, for the follow-up phase, or the post-travel phase, applicants should include an end of seminar evaluation to be completed by each participant to assess the quality of the overseas project. The Department of Education reviews each evaluation submitted by the participants to ascertain the success of the project and to provide suggestions for improvements should the grantee submit a subsequent application for funding. Applicants should include schedules for formal follow-up and dissemination, such as a series of workshops over the course of the next year that includes announcements, discussion, curriculum meetings, presentations, critique of lesson plans, review of curricular products for content, accuracy and appropriateness, and preparation for publication. Applicants should also discuss how they will arrange follow-up visits to the local area from host country educators to serve as guest lecturers during the summer and to speak in local education settings. This can result in an effective media blitz about the effectiveness of the GPA project, as well as significantly strengthen ties due to follow-up visits. This is a sample chart containing an outline of follow-up activities. Something to this effect, again, highly recommend you include sort of an outline of your follow-up activities in your appendices in your application. Okay, let's talk about some of the allowable cost for the GPA short-term project. Funding can be used for the following: lodging and meals, round-trip international travel. As a reminder, all flights to and from the U.S. must be Fly America Act compliant. You may also use funding for travel within the host country. You can use funding for education materials purchased in the host country, meeting spaces within the host country, local administrative fees and services, and host country evaluators. It's important to note that the grant does not provide funds for project-related expenses within the United States. This includes U.S.-based salaries, pre-departure orientation cost if your pre-departure orientation is held in the United States, and any follow-up U.S.-based activities. Those items may be included as part of the applicant matching contribution. Up next is the selection criteria. So this here is what is going to be used to score your application. These 8 criteria are your selection criteria that you will address in your project narrative. Applicants can receive 100 points for addressing all of the selection criteria. In addition, applicants can receive up to 7 additional points by addressing the competitive preference priorities that we spoke about early in the presentation that are specific to short-term projects. Let's get started here with plan of operation. Under the plan of operation, which is worth 20 points, applicants should introduce the reader to their institution and organization by providing statistics and other demographic information relevant to the project. The need for the project, the selection of the country of study, and the objectives of the project should also be discussed. The project design should be addressed. This generally includes the 3 project phases we discussed just a minute ago. Applicants should note how each phase of the project is to be carried out and supported under the plan of operation criteria. Continuing on with plan of operation, the applicant should also address how the management plan will link all of the project phases and how it will efficiently operate under all of the project parties. Applicants should describe in which ways resources and personnel will be used in achieving the objectives of the project and include details of which key personnel will be responsible for vital project components and activities, and describe how, why, when, and where project activities will take place. Please include a clear description of how your project will provide equal access and equipment for project participants, regardless of race, color, national origin, gender, age, or disability. Many applicants neglect to include this description, which does result in point deductions. The quality of key personnel is worth 10 points. Applicants should address the qualifications of the U.S. project director, which includes their academic training, their field of expertise in the host country, the administrative experience, language, and other related qualifications. Also, it is important to note the project director's time commitment to the project. Please provide expertise of any other support staff as well as their time commitment to the project. Applicants should also provide host country key personnel qualifications. These can include administrative staff, language teachers, assessors, or evaluators. Please be sure to include their titles, their project responsibilities, and their time commitments to the project. Applicants should also show, as part of their institution's non-discriminatory employment practices, how employment from underrepresented groups will be without regard to race, color, national origin, gender, age, or disability. In the appendices section, the applicant should upload abbreviated curriculum vitae, which should be no more than 3 pages for key personnel. Okay, budget and cost effectiveness is worth up to 10 points. Applicants should demonstrate and justify that all allowable expenses presented are adequate and reasonable in today's market and necessary to accomplish the project's goals. Applicants should discuss their project's cost effectiveness and show the relationship between the project's cost and the project's objectives. GPA programs do not require matching funds, but we do highly recommend using matching funds. In the budget narrative attachment, applicants should upload a detailed itemized line budget and accompanying budget narrative that clearly outlines how the costs have been calculated and are necessary to the project's objective. Remember, short-term projects have an 18-month project period, so your budget should reflect those 18 months. This is an example of a budget sheet. I'd like to point out that this budget sheet is broken down into 3 columns on the right-hand side of the screen. You see which cost will be covered by the GPA program, which cost the college, university, or institution will cover, and what cost the participant cost share will go towards. This layout is highly recommended. The evaluation plan is worth up to 20 points. A well-designed evaluation plan includes clearly articulated goals, measurable objectives, both quantitative and qualitative. The well-designed evaluation plan includes a way to collect data to show progress, formal evaluations at each phase of the project, informal evaluations as well, and those can take the form of a midpoint debriefing or daily journals, something of the sort. To add credibility to the evaluation plan, we highly encourage using an external evaluator that is independent of the project, meaning someone who is outside of your academic department or even external to your institution. Evaluation instruments that will be used to collect data during all project phases should also be included in your appendices. And a timetable should be included to highlight when key components of the evaluation plan will occur. Applicants will be required to develop the proposed goals and the project's specific performance measures and activities on the Performance Measure Form, or PMF. The project goal statement on this example PMF is to increase the quality and relevancy of less commonly taught language materials. You'll see too that the performance measure to support this goal is to increase the number of instructional modules that could be integrated into existing curriculum. And an activity highlighted here on this PMF is to identify and propose at the pre-departure orientation meeting 2 to 3 instructional modules to be developed during the group abroad period. Should the applicant become a grantee, they will be required to provide the data indicators, baseline numbers to include trend data similar to what we have on this slide. For more detailed information regarding evaluation plans, please review the application instruction. This slide here is informational only. Successful GPA short-term applicants will be required to collect data on GPA GEPRA measures, specifically GEPRA Measure 2, and report this data to the Department of Education in their final performance reports. The GEPRA measure is the percentage of GPA participants who disseminated information about or materials from their group project abroad through more than one outreach activity within 6 months of returning to their home institution. Okay, back to selection criteria, the adequacy of resources. This is worth up to 5 points. For this criteria, you want to ask yourself, what resources will I use to accomplish the project goals I've outlined in my project, both in the United States and abroad? You should indicate specifics regarding use of facilities, supplies, and other resources to show that they are adequate to carry out the activities in all phases of the project. This includes facility supplies, other resources, both within your institution or organization and while abroad. In the appendices section, applicants should upload letters of support from both the U.S. and support country institutions and individuals. Potential impact is worth up to 15 points. Applicants should focus on the potential impact of the project, on the development and improvement of the study of modern foreign languages and area studies, on participating institutions of higher education, public and private schools. You should describe the possible long-term benefits to project participants, their students, their colleagues, their communities, resulting from successful completion of your GPA grant. Applicants should indicate the process by which resulting curriculum project research will be evaluated for accuracy and effectiveness. The relevance to institutional development is worth up to 10 points. Applicants should discuss the missions, goals, and objectives of the applicant institution, as well as what it would mean to have a GPA grant. The need for overseas experience is worth up to 10 points. Applicants should discuss how their project will bring about a better understanding of the host country. You should also address the question, why this particular group to this particular place? And lastly, describe the relationship to the project and the institution's program development in modern foreign language and area studies. The grants.gov appendices provide applicants with an other attachments section that can include preliminary pre-departure orientation agendas, overseas project itineraries, and follow-up activities. It can also include CVs of key personnel, and just remember those CVs should be 3 pages at a maximum. They should also include letters of support and can include and should include examples of evaluation materials, project timeline charts, specific project-specific PMF forms with proposed measures and activities. I highly recommend, it is not required, but I highly recommend including every single item on this screen, as it can only help your application. At this time, I'd like to provide you with some tips on putting together a successful application package. As you're getting organized, we encourage applicants to review abstracts of funded grantees and past successful proposals located on the GPA website. We also encourage applicants to develop internal and external linkages that will assist you in putting together a solid application. For example, you may wish to meet with relevant staff from the Grants and Contracts Office or coordinate with your colleagues on campus that have international education or grants experience to develop a robust plan of operation. In addition, applicants that have secured an external evaluator will send a strong signal to peer reviewers that you're serious about evaluation. We strongly encourage applicants to review the FAQs on our website, which have been recently updated, and we advise you to designate a management team with international and grants experience. We also advise that you identify your institution or department's needs and wants and request letters of support both from the United States and any host institutions abroad. We also recommend that you review the Federal Register Notice and the GPA program websites for updated information. And lastly, please feel free to contact me directly at gpa@ed.gov, and I'd be happy to assist you with any questions you may have along the way. When writing your proposal, make sure you address all selection criteria in the order listed in the application package. Applicants should not make peer reviewers search for the information. Generating a table of contents is helpful in developing a highly organized application. Applicants should also provide a detailed plan of operation and evaluation and include sufficient detail so that someone unfamiliar with your project could conduct it. Write clear, measurable goals, objectives, and outcomes. Provide a specific and detailed budget. Again, I recommend using the 3 columns to demonstrate where specific funds will be allotted to. Avoid grammatical errors in specific professional jargon and acronyms, and use persuasive description of how your project operates. I can't stress enough how important it is to be clear, concise, and detailed. When submitting your application, make sure you register early on grants.gov to avoid any system issues. Save your written proposal to avoid any computer issues. And if your institution is not funded, consult the reviewer comments and reapply. And please, please, please do not wait until the last minute to submit. The deadline for your application is March 15th, 2021, at 12 o'clock midnight Eastern Standard Time. All applicants will be notified of their results via email no later than September 30th, 2021. Scores and comments will be sent to all applicants via email. And for successful grantees, be ready to hit the ground running. There are some websites here that are very helpful to you as you work on your applications. You can find sample abstracts from past successful projects, sample narratives, submission instructions, and a link to subscribe to our quarterly newsletter. This slide contains a link to the GPA website as well as my contact information. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I am more than happy to answer any questions, no matter how big or small. One last note, institutions are able to apply for more than one GPA grant. You can submit for multiple short-term projects, multiple long-term projects, or a combination of short-term and long-term projects. If you choose to submit a long-term application, please be sure to watch the long-term technical assistance webinar, as long-term applications have different requirements than short-term applications. You can find the long-term webinar at the International Foreign Language Education Office's YouTube channel. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the GPA Short-Term Technical Assistance webinar. I hope it will help you in putting together a competitive application. We wish you the best of luck and look forward to your application.